begin the meeting, and she will lead us in Pledge of Allegiance, if you would. And following that, we have Pastor Steve Pettigo will say a blessing for us before we begin. So, you begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Greetings to you from the Westfield Ministerial Alliance. Let us pray. Dear Jesus, you are the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. We acknowledge that your hand has been and is over the city of Westfield even since its beginning when the Quakers settled here. Lord Jesus, thank you. Thank you for providing the resources and opportunities to help make this city strong. We pray for our government officials, lead them and guide them and bless them as they make decisions. And we pray that they would be guided in what they do to glorify you. And so we put this meeting into your hands. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Jordan. At this time, I'd like the clerk to call the roll and note the presence of a quorum, please.
Joe Edwards.
Present.
Bob Borkay.
Here.
Jim Hay.
Here.
Chuck Lincoln.
Here.
Cindy Spalger.
Here.
Here. All right, thank you. There are no changes to the agenda tonight, so we'll move on to approval of the minutes from our meeting, past meeting 10/23/17. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion by Cindy Spalgeric. Is there a second?
Second.
Joe Edwards seconds. Is there any discussion? Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, signify by saying aye if you wish to approve the minutes as stated. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved, 6-0. Moving on to claims. I've all had a chance to review those. I'd entertain a motion to approve claims.
Move to approve claims.
I have a motion by Dr. Keene. Is there a second?
Second.
Cindy Spalgeric seconds. All those in favor of approval of claims signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Claims are also approved, 6-0. Is this loud, or are we, seems there's an echo in here, but, okay. Tonight, it gives me great pleasure to introduce, well, she's already been introduced, our mayor for the evening, Jordan Church, and we'll have a special recognition by Mayor Cook. Thank you.
This is fun. We get to do this again. I mean, I could probably quit as many mayors as we've had come forward with our young people. It's wonderful. Jordan is a seventh grader at the middle school, and she got here. Tell us how you became mayor for the evening.
So at the Westfield Intermediate School, we did participation points and like good behavior points, and I ended up getting over 1,000 points, and so I got to pick the mayor for the day in a drawing. So we all had to like put our names in a hat, and they just like started picking names out, and then we had to auction it off.
You auctioned it off. So I would never have probably made the good behavior award. How did you do that? Find this guy back here sitting on the road. Did he have anything to do with it? No. Huh? No, I won't get credit for that. Introduce your father.
This is my father, John Church. He works for Right
The right choices. Okay. So, how's the grades?
They're good.
They're good. What are you gonna be when you grow up?
Probably, I want to be either a
complain less, be patient, forgive someone, a kind word or action can make a difference, so you practice all this. That's fantastic. No wonder Westfield schools are doing so well. We have a proclamation for you, all right? And it says, whereas Jordan Church is a student at Westfield Middle School, and that you are being awarded Mayor for the evening for your good behavior. Only my grandkids could do that. It's real good man. So therefore, I, J. Andrew Cook, do proclaim Jordan Church as mayor for the evening of November 13th in the county of Hamilton, city of Westfield, and call upon all of our citizens to welcome Jordan as she honorably serves the city of Westfield as mayor for this evening. And this certificate is for you, okay? Give it to my grandchildren, is that okay? All right.
We are privileged tonight also to have a special presentation by the First Lego League presenting a Westfield Green Initiative project. We are recognized as a green city, and I think you guys will help us carry it to the next level. So I look forward to your presentation tonight. You ready? Yeah. All right. Come on forward.
Thank you for welcoming us to this meeting this evening. This is a great opportunity for the kids to fulfill some of their requirements. This is a great group of kids from Westfield, sponsored by the Westfield Public Library. They're the first Lego League team that's sponsored by the library. Would you like to each introduce yourselves?
I'm Layla. I'm Jacob. I'm Zaid. I'm Emma. I'm Amy. I'm Oliver. I'm Athens.
So this is your Westfield Public Library team, Westfield Washington Library Public Library team. The first Lego League, if some of you are familiar, you know about the Lego robotics piece of it. And when I came to the table, that's what I was familiar with. That's only a third of this competition. Another third deals with core values to make sure that these kids understand what it means to work as a team and to work professionally within their team and with other teams. That's another third. Final third is the part that really has become special to me. And that's the piece where the kids are challenged to look into their real world environment and identify a problem, and then propose an innovative solution, which requires research and development and survey. And then they're challenged to go out to the community and present their idea to relevant folks within the community. So one of those things was our Westfield Green Initiative group, because this year's challenge involved problems that involve the human water cycle. So the kids were challenged to look at our human water cycle and figure out what can we do to improve that. So this year they realized that we all go to fast food restaurants all the time and we end up with a lot of trash. So they were trying to figure out how can we reduce the trash, and they came up with a program called
Bottle First.
So without further ado, I would like to present this to you, and a special thank you to Cindy Spoljarek. She was kind enough to come to a meeting before this, give us a few pointers. So I'm excited for her to see the progress. So, take it away.
This trash is so heavy. I know. What is all that? It's all our trash from our customers. And why aren't you using bottle first? What is that? It's a program where you can bring in your reusable cup or bottle, and then you can fill your drink. You still have to buy it, of course, and you get rewards for it. How will our business benefit from
Well, that's really fantastic. Thank you so much. Do we have some special kids in Westfield here, or do we? Wow. You know that we've been working on a green initiative all year here in Westfield. We've been working on water resources and electricity. We've looked for ways to plant native grasses and native trees, and so we've been working on the green initiative all year. So I'm thrilled to see our young people get involved in this kind of thing. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to move into old business. We have before us Resolution 17-134, Road Impact Fee Zone Improvement Plan, and it is up for adoption tonight. Jeremy?
Hey.
You good? Okay, Brian?
I get to follow the KID Act. The
That's all right.
Resolution 17-134 is a zone improvement. Zone improvement plan, recently adopted by the planning commission. For those of you that have been here for a while, the time to reestablish our road impact fees come upon us. The first act of that is to adopt a zone improvement plan. Think of it as a long-range plan of the roads that may be necessary as Westfield develops out. And this is to try to get ahead of planning so that an impact fee can adequately assess and a fee for the impact that future development is going to have on the current residents now. The road impact fee zone improvement plan was adopted, as I said, by the planning commission, and I received a couple of questions and inquiries. Primarily, they stem around the fact that the zone improvement plan states within it that it's going to become part of the comp plan. We've engaged a different engineering firm this time, so things are worded a little differently. But throughout the history of the impact fee ordinances, the zone improvement plan has always been part of our comp plan by operation of statute. Just may or may not have been mentioned in our documents as we move forward. Other than that, I don't believe I received any other questions or inquiries, and we answer any you might have now.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions from council for Brian?
Just a few things for clarification, if you wouldn't mind, Brian. And we spoke about this earlier. One of the things that was a little bit confusing was that we hadn't formally had this as an actual part of our comprehensive plan before, but the state sees our approving any one of these plans as included in our comprehensive plan, correct?
Yes, there was one exception to it, but it's not relevant to what we do here.
Okay. There are land use assumptions that were used in the development of these numbers for the impact fee, and some of those don't quite match up in part for certain areas, and there was concern that those would then translate later on into our somehow supporting future rezones or something like that based on the information. So I just wanted to clarify that that was not the case, and it doesn't at all speak to how we intend our future land use planning to go beyond what we require for the roads, correct?
Yes, it does not. It is, as I said at the planning commission, it's not entailed the wags of the dog on zoning decisions. Certainly, it's not going to be something that would require any kind of decision by this body on any particular piece of property.
Okay. But we wouldn't likely see, say, like a staff report later on saying somewhere in our comp plan that we thought this certain land use was appropriate for a certain location just because it showed up in our impact fee ordinance. Do you see what I'm saying? I think you do.
Since I don't write those reports, I couldn't tell you that would never show up. What often will happen is if there's a land use that's being proposed, everything that we had adopted, comp plan, thoroughfare plan, alternative transportation plans, all those things can be referenced as to whether or not a certain land use would comply with it or not. However, whether it does or doesn't, again, doesn't impact or predispose any particular land use.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you, Brian. This time I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve Resolution 17-134, Road Impact Fee Zone Improvement Plan.
All right, I have a motion by Bob Horky. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Chuck Lehman. Is there any further discussion on the Road Impact Fee Zone Improvement Plan? Hearing none. Those in favor of the resolution 17-134 as stated, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Second item under old business is related. Ordinance 1743, establishing the equitable impact fee for the purpose of planning and financing road and street infrastructure. Mr. Zager.
This ordinance would establish our impact fees and then we will go forward. The current plan is set at how much per trip? $2.99. This plan starts at $2.99 a trip and has a 2% increasing amount over the 5 years going into the future, which time we have to go through this process again to establish the impact fee and zone improvement plan. Action required to adopt this ordinance with grant and the impact fee assessed.
Okay. The 2% escalator is not mandatory.
It's built into the ordinance.
Okay, so it's an automatic every year.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any other questions?
Yes, explain to me $2.99 a trip, what's that based on?
Certainly. The impact fee is assessed against new development for the impact it has on the current infrastructure that's currently in place among the residents of the zone. And their zone here is the city of Westlake. The particular impact fee we're talking about is a road impact fee. We engage engineers to establish what the cost is per trip, which would be a visit to an establishment, a trip out of a home and back. And there's a book, I think it's still a book, it's probably software soon, but it's probably larger than any telephone book you've ever had, which documents every use that they can anticipate for a particular piece of property, any piece of property, and establish how many trips that will generate. As an example, a home will generate 5 trips per day. A daycare, so many more. Fast food restaurants usually generate the most trips. And the trips are used to establish how much of the road's getting used, so to speak. And once you establish that amount of service that's throughout the city of Westfield, then you plan ahead as to what future development might require that is using what's already been established and paid for by the residents, and thus the impact on our current infrastructure. So that the establishment of more uses outside the developed areas isn't borne entirely or inappropriately on the people that are currently in town.
So this is this based on an annual trip or a daily trip or
Daily trips.
daily trips and then?
Yes, and I'm sorry, I can't tell you what the actual impact fee is, or about the impact is, but the fee we recommended you adopt is the $2.99 plus the 2%. Generally, they're closer, I want to say almost 600, Jeremy?
Are you talking about a trip for the fee for a residence?
No,
Or-
I'm talking about what the engineers established would be the actual impact of our infrastructure.
In this case, we did establish as $2.99 was the actual impact. In the last ordinance, it was established as that, but we programmed it in over 5 years to escalate to that point. So you saw an escalation in the last ordinance as well. It was a bit more significant because it was gradually going into that fee that was justified. This one is that fee, again, based on our capital needs in the future, and then with the escalator built in.
So this is a one-time fee the a developer pays for him being able to put additional homes or traffic in that area.
It's associated with the building permit, so if it's a new residential unit, they pay a flat fee. If it is a hotel, they pay based on their daily trips spread over time.
But this is paid generally by a developer, not the applicant. In a development, the developer's gonna apply for the building permit, probably.
Typically, yes, in a commercial application anyway.
So this represents a slight increase over what we have already on the books.
It's current with what we have on the books now, we have a little increase.
Okay.
Any other questions, counselors? Will the clerk please call the,
You didn't get a motion for this, did you?
okay, thank you.
I'll move to approve.
All right, thank you, Dr. Keene. We have a motion by Dr. Keene. Is there a second?
Second.
Bob Horke seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Chuck Lehman,
Yes.
Bob Cortez,
Yes.
Joe Edwards,
Yes.
Cindy Spallier,
Yes.
Mark King,
Yes.
Jim Miller.
Yes. Thank you. The last item under old business is ordinance 17-40, Park Street in the Junction to PUD. Mr. Crabtree, good evening.
Good evening, members of the council. For the record, Dane Crabtree with the Economic and Community Development Department. This item is a request for a change of zoning at 231 Park Street, currently zoned general business, to be known as the Park Street and the Junction 2 Planned Unit Development. As you may recall, the request to change the current zoning to a PUD is necessary to accommodate the relocation of Greek's Pizzeria, as they are in need of a larger kitchen space and a larger seating area. This project is unchanged since it was introduced to the council on October 9th. This ordinance received a public hearing at the November 6th Plan Commission meeting, where it received positive public comments and received a unanimous favorable recommendation following the hearing. This item is up for adoption consideration this evening. With us is Jesse Pullman from On Point Land Matters on behalf of the petitioner. He does not plan to make a presentation, but is available for questioning, and I'm available if there are any of staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Dane? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve ordinance 17-40, the Park Street in the Junction 2 PUD.
Second.
I have a motion by Bob Horke and a second by Joe Edwards. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Cindy Spallier,
Yes.
Mark King,
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Chuck Lehman,
Yes.
Bob Cortez,
Yes.
Joe Edwards.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. That concludes our old business, and we'll move on to new business tonight. We have a resolution, 17-132, confirming establishment of an economic revitalization area for 1821 Bastion Court. Ms. Robidoux.
Good evening, President, members of the council. For the record, my name is Amanda Robidoux with the Economic and Community Development Department. I would like to present the next two items together. Both are a requirement for the proposed real property tax abatement requested by Bastion Toyota Zipline. Resolution 17-132 is a confirmatory resolution that establishes the economic revitalization area that was approved at your October 9th council meeting by declaratory resolution 17-128. This item is scheduled for a public hearing this evening. The second item, resolution 17-133, is the actual tax abatement granting document for the project that was outlined for you at your October 9th council meeting. In summary, resolution 17-132 requires a public hearing and must be adopted prior to the adoption of resolution 17-133. Greg Durham with Bastion Solutions is here and available to answer any questions you may have, and staff is available as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. This does require a public hearing tonight, and I will open the public hearing at 7:28. If there's anybody here present that would like to speak to this issue, please come forward. Okay, thank you. Going once, going Going twice. All right. I will close the hearing. No comments. I will close the public hearing at 7:29. Thank you. At this time, we have Resolution 17-132 before us that needs to be passed first. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A motion by Joe Edwards. Do I have a
Second.
second? Was that Dr. King?
Second.
Yeah, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, I submit Resolution 17-132 to you as the confirming establishment of an economic revitalization area. If you're in favor of this, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. The resolution passes 6-0. Moving on to Resolution 17-133, real property abatement for 1821 Bastion Court. I'd entertain a motion for that as well.
So moved.
I have a motion by Joe Edwards and a second.
Second.
Cindy Spoljarek seconds. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, please signify by saying aye if you approve Resolution 17-133, real property abatement for 1821 Bastion Court.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Resolution 17-133 passes 6-0. Moving on, ordinance 17-44, the Grand Park Event Center Planned Unit Development PUD District. Ms. Robidoux.
Good evening, President, members of the council. Again, for the record, my name is Amanda Rebidoux with the Economic and Community Development Department. Before you this evening for introduction is a proposal for an amendment to the Grand Park Event Center PUD District. For your reference, the parcels affected by the amendment are immediately west of the event center, just south of 191st Street. This amendment is to allow for the construction of a 68,000 square foot athletic training facility that would house the ProX athletic development. Tonight is an introduction, and the proposal will follow the normal zoning process. It is scheduled for a public hearing at the Plan Commission meeting on December 4th. Subject to the public hearing, this item could be back before you as early as your January 8th council meeting. Representing the petitioner, Jesse Pullman with On Point Land Matters, is here and would like to make a presentation. After the presentation, the petitioner and staff is available should the council have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, President, members of the council. For the record, my name is Jesse Pullman with On Point Land Matters. Here with me this evening are Joe Thatcher and Jamie Gordon, co-founders of ProX. Ken Coker, also co-founder of ProX, was unable to be here this evening, and Birch Dalton with Edge Rock Development was also unable to be here this evening due to a coaching conflict. I'm here to introduce to you our request for a change of zoning for the 8 acres that consists of Lot 2 and Lot 5 of the Grand Park subdivision, located immediately west of the Grand Park Event Center. In July, the Westfield Redevelopment Commission posted a request for proposals for the development of the city's parcel, which consists of Lot 2, which, as you may recall, was the site of the previously planned Haven at Grand Park dormitory. Edge Rock and ProX responded to that RFP this past July and were selected by the RDC to develop the city's parcel for an approximate 70,000 square foot athlete training development facility. The inclusion of Lot 5 allows for some adjustments to the lot lines to accommodate the proposed building. As you may also recall, the Grand Park Event Center received its original approval in September of 2014, and the PUD for the Event Center was expanded in September of 2015 that included Lot 2. Although there's no specific use or development that's been identified for Lot 5, for the ordinance in front of you tonight, the standards that were previously applicable to the Haven site now apply to Lot 5, and Lot 2 consists of the standards in front of you to accommodate the proposed ProX at Grand Park building with architecture and design standards consistent with the Grand Park Event Center. ProX is excited to embark on this partnership with the city and the development of ProX at Grand Park. While there are facilities that may offer sports performance, sports-specific training, or rehabilitation services independent of each other, ProX at Grand Park is proposed to be an inclusion of all these programs in one facility and under one brand with the full integration of rehabilitation, training, and skill development. The facility's operations will include leadership and training from former professional athletes, as well as highly qualified and experienced training professionals. In addition, there's partnerships in place with the bullpen tournaments and Methodist Sports Medicine to fully complement what's already occurring at Grant Park. If approved, the Pro-X Grant Park building is anticipated to begin construction in the spring with a hopeful grand opening by the fall of 2018. Prior to the scheduled public hearing in front of the Plan Commission in December, we would invite you to an open house that we'll be hosting for adjacent property owners, and that is going to occur this Wednesday, November 15th at 6 p.m. in the Field Conference Room on the second floor of the Grant Park Event Center. So in closing, Pro-X Grant Park epitomizes an innovative and championship caliber sports-related facility that we believe will complement and enhance Grant Park's world-class sports campus in its endeavor to field champions. If you have any questions or comments of me this evening that I can take with us as we go through the public process, I'd be more than happy to entertain those. Otherwise, I'd like to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Pullman. Does council have any questions for the petitioner? This is a council introduction.
I have a few. Hi, Jesse. Hi. In the ordinance, in the permitted uses right now, it has a GB underlying, and then adds sports campus uses and excludes special exception uses. There's probably a host of uses in the GB district that I think would probably be, they're unlikely to happen if this didn't occur here, but still I would like to see it restricted to more closely resemble what we're actually trying to achieve there.
If you'd be willing to send us a list, I'd be more than happy to look those over and add them as appropriate.
Okay, and what is the city's contribution to this project?
As part of the RFP response, it was simply a matter of a lease structure. So the city will own the ground, and Pro-X Grant Park will lease the ground from the city and will build a facility.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate the introduction.
Jim. I wasn't speak to this item, however, the public hearing is going to be on December 5th at the Plan Commission. There is no speaking to this item today.
So,
Yes.
yes, that's correct, that's correct. The public hearing will be held December 4. Okay, thank you. Moving on then, ordinance 17-45, Hiddle at 31, planned unit development. Mr. Crabtree.
Good evening, members of the council. Again, for the record, Dane Crabtree with the Economic and Community Development Department. The item before you is an introduction of ordinance number 17-45, a proposed project known as the Hiddle at 31 planned unit development. Encompassing approximately 12.2 acres, this proposed development is located at the southwest corner of US Highway 31 and 191st Street, which is currently zoned mostly general business, but with a small portion zoned agriculture single family. The Chatham Commons PUD exists to the north, enclosed industrial exists across Highway 31 to the east, and general business zone parcels exist to the west and south. The proposed PUD is split into two sub-areas, Area 1 at the southern end of the PUD for hotels, and Area 2 at the north end of the PUD for outlots. The proposed PUD is consistent with the 2010 Family Sports Capital Addendum 2 to the Westfield, Washington Township Comprehensive Plan. This item is scheduled for a public hearing at the December 4th Advisory Plan Commission meeting, and will return to you in the future for adoption consideration. Jesse Pullman from On Point Land Matters is here to make a brief presentation on behalf of the petitioner.
Good evening again. For the record, Jesse Pullman with On Point Land Matters, presenting this evening on behalf of the applicant Priam LLC. Here with me this evening are Sunny Patel with Priam and Josh Hogan with the Snyder Corporation, our project engineer. This request is for a change of zoning for the 12 acres located on the southwest corner of US 31 and 191st Street as described by Mr. Crabtree. The property is currently zoned in the General Business District, but is subject to the US 31 Overlay District. The US 31 Overlay District does not currently permit hotels. So as a result, this request of change of zoning is warranted in order to allow for the proposed hotels and commercial outlots. The property is located within the area designated by the Comprehensive Plan's Family Sports Capital Addendum, as noted by Mr. Crabtree, and the addendum anticipates hotels, restaurants, hotels, and retail, among other uses. This property is also identified as retail/hospitality by the city's illustrative Grant Park Land Use Plan. The drive-in uses for this request are the two proposed hotels, which are currently expected to have between 80 and 90 rooms each, with an estimated investment of approximately $17 to $18 million. If approved, Prime would expect to begin construction in the springtime. The applicant is aware of the community standard and expectations for this corridor, and based on preliminary conversations we've had with staff as well as others, they've taken great pride in making revisions and working with the hotel brands to propose buildings consistent with those expectations. So as depicted in the exhibit, the development's design and ordinance are very consistent with or exceed those of recent ordinances adopted by the city. An example of that high quality includes the very minimal use of EIFS on one hotel, which is almost entirely brick and stone, and then no EIFS on the other hotel, which includes a modern design with a combination of brick and architectural and ceramic panels. Prior to the scheduled hearing at the December Plan Commission, we'd like to invite you to an open house that we'll be hosting for neighbors. That will be tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. in the Executive Conference Room at the Grand Park Event Center. So in closing, if you have any questions or comments of us this evening that we can take with us as we go through the public process, be more than happy to entertain those. Otherwise, I'd like to thank you for your time, and we look forward to being back in front of you in hopefully 2 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilors, any questions for Mr. Pullman? All right, hearing none. This is the council introduction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is also a council introduction, ordinance 17-46, Westchester PUD. Mr. Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the council, good evening. For the record, Kevin Todd with the Economic and Community Development Department. The item before you this evening for introduction is a request for a new planned unit development called the Westchester PUD. The proposal is approximately 309 acres in size. It includes the existing Woodwind Golf Course property, as well as additional acreage south of 156th Street, east of Town Road. The petitioner will describe the proposal in more detail in a moment, but briefly, the proposed PUD ordinance would allow for development of up to 360 single-family homes. This item is scheduled to receive a public hearing at the Advisory Plan Commission meeting on December the 4th, and will return to you at a later date for adoption consideration. At this time, Mr. Paul Rio would like to make a brief presentation on behalf of the petitioner. If you have any questions following his presentation, I'm available. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Todd.
Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, council, my name is Paul Rio with Platinum Properties. Here with me also this evening is Doc O'Neill with Cohout O'Neill Golf Management, as well as Rick Lawrence with the law firm of Nelson and Frankenberger. As was just pointed out, we have a petition before you for a PUD to encompass 309 acres, north bounded by just south of 166th Street, Town Road being the western boundary of the majority of the property. The community of Harmony and its future platting to our east, 156th Street, the entire golf course property as it exists today. And we will be seeking a PUD amendment that allows the development of single-family homes in and about this golf course while maintaining Woodwind Golf Course for future use. We have a plan which we could go to next, please. One before that. No. Yep. There we go. Thank you. The PUD will be broken down into 3 distinct districts or areas. Area A to the south, which will contain no more than 190 single-family homes, primarily focused on family-type housing. Area B, which will be built within the golf course confines, primarily an empty nester ranch-style home. That will be maximum number of homes is 170. And Area C, which contains the existing golf course. We're working with O'Neill Cohout Management to move golf holes to the north side of the road and free up some space on the south side of the road. It's anticipated that the course would be open for play with 18 holes throughout the entire process, as we would add a couple holes to the north, then later come back and take a few out of service on the south, so the course would continue to be open throughout the process. Next, please. This is the preliminary design, which will show the 2 new golf holes that are constructed north. We also have a plan to rehab a lot of the area where the existing clubhouse and facilities are. You'll see one entrance that comes in off of Town Road, another off 161st Street. As we move to the south, across from 156th Street is a self-contained area within the golf course. And then to the south, where we align with Liberty Ridge to the southern portion, traversing through to the north, we're eliminating any entrances or access off of Town Road on the property to the south. We'll be having a neighborhood meeting for interested citizens here, 6:30 on November 30th, which will be prior to the public hearing at the Planning Commission. And I'm ready to answer any questions if you have any this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Does council have any questions for the petitioner? Again, this is a council introduction tonight.
Just a general nature, Paul, the approximate price range of the homes?
Dr. Keene, we expect the homes in here to sell from the high 300s to the mid 500s.
I've reviewed this, I've reviewed your proposed ordinance, and I do have a number of concerns, enough to where I believe that if it were up to me, I would like to see it pulled and not continue on to the Plan Commission at this point. You, of course, have your right to go to Planning Commission. I don't have an interest in working on this for a year and seeing everyone waste a lot of resources, and if significant changes, huge, would need to be made for me to be on board with this project right now. I just wanted to let you know up front.
Any other comments?
I'll make a comment. At introductions, I seldom make any comments. I think it's just part of the process. It's introduced here. We get a flavor for what's going on, and it's passed on, and then it works itself out. I think there's obviously a keen interest to see this amenity saved, and we'll look at any proposal that comes along. We appreciate your efforts in doing that. I haven't really dug into it, okay? But I also have some concerns. Nothing's perfect. I mean, I've seen better, I've seen worse. I voted for some that are better and voted against some that are better. So we'll just see it work itself out. As we go along, we'll take a look at certain impacts and the overall flavor of it, and look forward to working with you. But I think, as many others, you deserve a shot. It does need some work. Looking forward to working with you.
Any other comments? I read through the PUD as it is, and it is very general in nature. I think it needs to be tightened up a little bit. The square footage defaults to zoning. I'm not sure that's accurate. If they're that small, I'm not interested in moving forward. The concept that Liberty Ridge established with the neighbors seemed to be something that was acceptable. I am pleased to hear the price points are higher than I would have thought. So I would look at some of the standards in the surrounding communities, would be my comment. And then I'm sure you'll have public comments at the public hearing, which will bear some weight. But I'd like to see some improvement in the plan as well.
Is this zero lot line stuff?
The homes within the golf course have the opportunity to be zero lot line. It's the style of home that they are.
Anyone else? All right. Hearing none, this is a council introduction.
Thank you for your comments. We'll be back.
Next item is ordinance 17-47, additional appropriation. Mr. Zager, or Mr. Bertrand.
Allow me, Counselor. Members of the council, this is a request, introduction this evening for this ordinance. We have an anticipated overage in the fire budget. We do have the cash on hand, however, your appropriation approval from last year to this year's budget is being realized to be overspent approximately $270,000, not to exceed. The largest percentage of that and what's constituting this problem is manpower. We've had 123 shifts or 3,528 man-hours we've had to hire back overtime due to various reasons, most notably injuries and illnesses. So that's the reason for this as well. And in addition to is a software platform that we have purchased to better track our manpower and our staffing situations. So this is an introduction. Happy to answer any questions you may have, and if not, we'll see you back here next month. But again, the cash is on hand. It just exceeds the approved amount that you approved this time last year.
Any questions for Mr. Bertrand? All right, thank you, Mr. Bertrand. The last item under new business is an interlocal agreement between the City of Westfield, Indiana and Hamilton County, Indiana Drainage Board. Mr. Zager. Thank you. This not only affects the Trails project, but other drainage issues in the city.
Yes, almost anything, we can move drainage, that's everything.
And we've been talking about this a long time. So it provides a lot, it covers a lot of area, and it's been very beneficial to the city. Those are my only comments. This is up for adoption consideration tonight. Any questions for Mr. Zager?
We're paying all costs of the mitigation and any additional mitigation. Can you explain that?
So the agreement in particular is assigned to the specific PUD, the Trails PUD. It is understood with the developer, and we're actively working on finalizing that developer agreement, but the city will be reimbursed. The county does not choose to enter into developments or agreements with private developers. So this is the city's way of facilitating that arrangement and keeping the Trails PUD on track while also ensuring that they're covering the cost of their project.
So what protections are there in there for us in terms of, I mean, how do we know exactly what we're getting into, and then how do we know we're gonna get paid back?
I can defer a little bit to Brian, but the understanding is that, like I said, it's specific to that. So in order to do the initial mitigation, which the Trails is doing on site, which is what really triggers our additional mitigation, what we're committed to, we wouldn't approve a building permit without the developer agreement being in place to ensure that we're covered. So It's tied specifically to the groundbreaking of something within the Trails PUD.
Okay. Yeah, if you just read this, I mean, what we're given, it makes it just look like we're incurring all the costs and doesn't mention really the reimbursement very well.
Please keep in mind, his development may spur this requirement, but this is a requirement that will have a wider reaching effect around that area, benefiting the city and future developments. So although the developer isn't paying the entire cost, he's also not getting the entire benefit. It's much like a widening of a road.
So in other ways, it's a shared benefit.
Yes.
Do we have the cost on it, what it's gonna take yet?
We have a cost estimate of what we believe that the cost of construction for it will be. We haven't taken that to bid, and I would be speaking out of turn if I told you those exact numbers right now.
Okay, that's probably not pertinent to this agreement, I'm just wondering for knowledge.
Sure.
All right?
I'd make a comment. In the overall scheme, we've been working on this for months, and this has really stopped some development. So really, I applaud you, Jeremy, for getting involved and talking to people on both sides. And we as a city are the vehicle that can make this all possible, because without us, we would be going nowhere. I mean, it's just the way it is. We don't write the rules. We're just following them. So and I see this, I've looked into it deeply a couple times, and I don't see that our risk factor is very low, okay, from a financial standpoint. But if we didn't get in the middle of this, there are certain things that a private entity just can't do, that we're able to do. So we're the facilitator to get this job done. And it impacts, I don't know the exact number of acres, that's not but it impacts far more acres than just this development. So it's a very good thing.
Thank you, Chuck. This time it is up for adoption. I consider a motion.
I move to approve the interlocal agreement between the city of Westfield and Hamilton County, Indiana Drainage Board.
All right,
Second.
Thank you. A second by Dr. Keene. Does this require a roll call? All right. Then we have a motion before us. If you wish to approve this motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. That concludes our normal business. At this time, residents who wish to address the council on items not on the agenda may do so at the present time.
My name is Mike Johns, and I'm a resident of Bainbridge. I was also the developer of Bainbridge. I'm the president of the Homeowners Association. As you're aware from recent meetings with both Mayor Cook and numerous members of the council, our neighborhood has some significant concerns regarding the long-range plans that the city of Westfield has for the immediate surrounding area. Tonight I'm here to share our frustration regarding the way that the city of Westfield is handling the sale of the property located at 1438 East 151st Street. I would like to thank Jim Ake for providing us with a copy of a request for bids memo. Unfortunately, this memo was not very well written and raises several questions. From the memo, we understand that the sale of the property was to be published, but we are unable to find where it was published. Jim thought it might be published in a Noblesville newspaper, not in a Westfield publication. The memo says that bids need to be submitted no later than 3 p.m. on November 15th, but the memo also states that the winning bid will be awarded at a public meeting at 10 a.m. on November 15th. The notice further says that bids are to be submitted to the attention of Mr. Rogers on page 1 and Mr. Roger on page 2. This all seems rather confusing to us, and we were unable to find any mention anywhere on the Westfield website of a public meeting scheduled for that day. In an attempt to clarify the issue, on Monday, November 6th, I called the city's Economic Development Department and left a message but received no reply. On Tuesday, November 7th, I called and reached the Economic Development Department. I was told that the Public Works Department published the bids and was transferred to that department. There was no one there available, so I left a message. On Wednesday, November 8th, I called Public Works once again, left a message regarding the information. That afternoon, I received a call back from Pat at Public Works Department, and she informed me that the city attorney was responsible for publishing the bid and that she would have him call me. I never received a call from the city attorney. On Thursday, November 9th, I reached out to Matt Skelton, Director of Economic Development, through a business partner. Matt returned that call on Friday, and he confirmed that the city attorney was handling the issues of the sale. I called the Public Works again this morning and asked Pat to have the attorney get in touch with me. I've yet to receive a call. This certainly begs the question, is this a case of government bureaucracy and incompetency, or is someone in the city government purposely avoiding providing the information to the public? To be clear, I represent a group of neighbors that are very concerned that the property at 1438 East 151st Street remain residential as it is currently zoned. To facilitate that goal, we are willing and prepared to purchase the property and maintain its residential character. Unfortunately, no one from the city will respond to our request for information, and to a person, we share the feeling that this may not be an honest bid process. We're asking that someone in the city do a formal review of the bidding process and get back to us with a response. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Johns. I appreciate you coming tonight. We'll certainly get back to you in a timely fashion. Do we have any other guest comments for this evening?
Hello, I'm Stacy London. I just came tonight to introduce myself.
Could you state your address, please, too?
My address?
Yes.
Sure, 34 East Bloomfield Lane. And like I said, I just came tonight to introduce myself. I'm in a new role. I'm the program coordinator for Smoke-Free Hamilton County. I just wanted to come out, introduce myself, and also I've only been in the position for 2 weeks, but I've already got an event planned, and the reason I came tonight was to invite you all to our event. We are having turkey bowling at the middle school on Thursday. It's during the kids' lunch hours from 11 to 1. We would love to invite you all out. We're just kind of creating awareness for the Great American Smokeout. So, like I said, that's the only reason I came tonight, introduce myself and give you a quick invitation. We'd love to have any and all of you there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. There you go, another event to put on your calendar. All right, anyone else? All right, thank you.
Oh.
Council comments?
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd like to make a comment in respect to Mr. John's comments. Just so we know, please know that the neighbors held a meeting, I think a couple of them invited us to attend, which we were glad to do. And I came out and spent a considerable amount of time at one of your homes and listened, and I followed that up with a phone call to you, I believe. And at that time, I shared with you the knowledge that I knew, and I don't daily run the city, but I did share at that time. I said, please reach out to me if you have any further questions. And I apologize for, your lack of response, but this is the first time that I've heard of it. Obviously, I'm not the only one in the city, okay? But I would have been delighted to take your phone call. And I responded to you as promptly as I could the first time. And we sat and listened to all your concerns, and I did dig in quite a bit that first time. I would have been glad to do that again, and I will do that now.
Okay. At this time, Joe Edwards, we've been working on a project, and I'd like him to give an update from the OpenGov portal.
The OpenGov committee has a primary job of providing transparency on city financial matters to not only the city council, but to the public at large. So we're looking for a launch around the first of the year of the open gov system. It's in, and, you know, we've got, I think it's 8 screens set up, Jim, that they can go back and forth and look, but we want all city councilors to bring their laptops and make an appointment with Tammy to get briefed and up to date. We hope to, at some time, be able to do it on devices like this. That seems to be the way things are going now, but for right now, we'll just confine it to laptops. The Open Gov part of what we are charged with doing by the state of Indiana, it is not only this, but it is also the training of employees and the seeking of input from the administration to make sure that there's buy-in on all financial matters, and that we do it efficiently, and basically the same people don't send the bills that get the money and that sort of thing. The clerk treasurer has certified 208 employees and council members on internal controls since September of 2016. Several board members have been trained, and I hope the majority will soon be trained on this too, because it is pretty interesting. Current state processes were documented first, future state processes were documented next, and taking into account how risk for fraud and inefficiencies would be mitigated, I should say. The new processes were implemented and immediately with follow-up to make sure they're working as intended. So the oversight is kind of a broad picture. It involves buy-in by the staff, by the leadership, the administration, the mayor and his team, and also by the city council. So there's three parts to this. I think it's beginning to fit together. It'll be a slow process, but it will work. And my hope is that in my short time on the earth here, that the general public is able to dial in and get a pretty good picture of what's going on financially with the city. And I think that's important. The general public needs to know. And it's not a big, deep mystery. When you first look at it, it is, but after you dig down in it, it's not so bad. So that's my report.
All right, thank you. We hope to roll it out to the public once it's been beta tested. January, our target date is January to provide some access, and then we'll expand from there, but we gotta start somewhere. So we're working on it, and that's why it's important our counselors can dial in and experiment and become familiar with that. Gives us closer to real-time financial information.
Yeah, you should get your login from Tammy. Tammy
That's
will
right.
give you your login.
That's right. Okay, Mr. Orkey, anything from APC, sir?
APC met last week. We approved the detailed development plan for a multi-tenant building at the Springville Station southeast corner. And we had 4 public hearings, some changes that are proposed to Osborne Trails, Park Street in the junction, which we have taken care of tonight, as well as the road impact zone improvement plan and the impact fee that we also took care of tonight. And that was it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ake. First of all, let's hear from our real mayor tonight. Ms. Church, you had a question or a comment on tonight's proceedings?
As far as the hotels go, what hotels are they thinking about including in these 2 new hotels? Because from the dimensions it showed in the pictures, one looked way bigger than the other, and I was just wondering what types of hotels they were thinking about putting in.
All right, the ones tonight, one was a Stay Bridge and one was a La Quinta Inn. So the Stay Bridge is more of a suite type hotel, I believe. And so that was probably the bigger one.
Very good. Does that answer your question? Okay, good. Thank you. Oh, several things. Great hearing from our young green people. That really helps taking us forward in the green endeavor we're working on this week. It's been wonderful, Ms. Church, Mayor Church, to have you this evening. You did a wonderful job. Open Doors, their annual Thanksgiving drive project is this coming Saturday. They need some volunteers as people line up and come through and take a lot of food that our community puts together for those that are in need. They need some volunteers this coming Saturday. Please contact our Open Doors out at Monon Trail School if you would. This Saturday is also Small Business Saturday here in Westfield, and we're encouraging everybody to shop locally. We also had at the end of October our first Barktoberfest. Huge success, and one that we plan to repeat. Went on at Asa Bales Park, and it promoted the adoption of animals for the Humane Society of Hamilton County. A very special thank you to Kelly Wells in our Parks Department for putting that event on for the first time. A couple things at Grand Park. Last weekend, a week ago, we had the Big Ten's Women's Soccer Championship. Weather was a challenge. We had rain and wind and unfortunately lightning, which delayed a lot of things. And but it was, in the end, it worked out as the entire tournament, the final game, was moved to the indoor facility. So we were able to use that and continue the entire tournament. We were a little bit more lucky with the weather Friday and Saturday and Friday and Sunday this past yesterday with the men's Big Ten Championship. It was a little damp, wasn't quite as windy, so it worked out. Still cool. Good news is we had IU playing in the final game with Wisconsin, which brought in a lot of people. The bad news is IU did not win. It was a shootout, and I understand I wasn't able to be there for the end, but Wisconsin had a fantastic goalie that it ended up being the whole tournament for IU. But they will definitely be in the NCAAs and go on from here. But it was a great presentation. Heard a lot of comments from people watching on the Big Ten Network and commenting on the quality of the event and the field there. So we're very proud, and I know our people out there, William Knox and his huge staff of 5 people, just did a fantastic job of having that done. Let's see, also coming up, we have the Westfield and Lights, and let's see, what's the date on that? As December 2. Always a big and growing affair here in the downtown area. We'll have Santa Claus, the Girl Scout gingerbread, Frosty the Snowman, train, live reindeer, a lot of, I guess the hay rides are sold out already, but there are some wagon rides that are still available. Sign up on the city websites, if you will. We've been undergoing a lot of interest in the economic development area. As you see, we're very happy to bring forth a couple more, 2 more hotels. I remember when we were just thrilled to get one, and now we kind of having several go through here. Again, it's all part of the overall picture of Grand Park, not only the hotels, but a sports-related business coming into Grand Park. All of these are paying the property taxes, which are going to pay for the Grand Park. So that plan is all working, but we're getting a lot of interest in not only North Point, but the proposed Millennium Center and other areas in Westfield. Internationally, really in the last 30 days, Todd and I and Matt have entertained guests from China, Japan, and as of this past week, the Netherlands, which is a business that has decided to locate here, co-venture with an existing Westfield firm. They had a business relationship, and they're going to put their first U.S. business right here in Westfield. We'll make a more formal announcement about that when that gets a little further along. One issue I do want to update you on, there has been some comments going on in the social media world about the work that we are doing behind the Public Works building, where we are spending quite a bit of money remediating the old, what are literally sewage ponds. They were built, I believe, 40 or 50 years ago. At that time, that was how sewage was treated. I believe they've been out of commission now for, gosh, about 15 years, maybe 20. And we feel the responsibility that it's time that we remediate those ponds, which means simply we go in and remove the age-old sludge from these ponds. The goal is, if you've seen any of the drawings on it, to turn the old ponds into a fishing lake. We can clean it up to that extent, use another one for a wetland area, kind of extend Simon Moon Park. But if you notice, there's a chain link fence around it with barbed wire, and that was meant to keep people out. It is a biohazard. We've talked with the council at length about when to do this. It's well over $1 million. It is being funded from our stormwater utility. It's not a fun thing to do. It's not like building a new roundabout or paving a road. It's something that we felt that we need to do from an environmental standpoint. The fence is there to keep people out of a biohazard. Unfortunately, it doesn't keep all critters out. And we have some wildlife in there, turtles, I believe, probably some fish that somehow have acclimated to living in there. And there's been questions raised about, what's happening to this wildlife. Well, we are going through this process, adhering to the Indiana Department of Environmental Management processes and rules, exactly the way that we are supposed to do. Some of these animals, hopefully, as their areas are being disturbed, they will migrate out of that area. Unfortunately, these aren't animals that we can just pick up and place somewhere else. They are literally contaminated, and there's no way to keep them out of there. So I just want to reassure the public that we're doing this exactly to the letter of the law. We intend to reestablish that area, probably closer to the way it existed 80, 100 years ago, with more natural wildlife and returning it to its original state. So it's not a fun process, not something you probably want to go take a picnic and watch, but it's something we needed to do. It's about a year-long project, and then we hope to turn it into an amenity that we can all enjoy. So I just wanted to kind of update you where we're going with that.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. That concludes tonight's business. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Vote?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. There you go. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, if anything ever happens, call me. Call me. I would have called you in a heartbeat.